Let's get this party started.
A handshake is available upon request.
Thank you. May I have a handshake? Every time you find yourself here, it's because you chose to come back.
Innies, outies, shake it all abouties, welcome back to Severance with the Boys, the weekly recap podcast that will never steal your brain technology inventions and test it on real human beings.
Maybe.
I'm your host, Luke F., and as usual, I'm joined by my co-host, Jonathan D. Say hi, John.
Hi, John.
John, how's your week been, you blighted snuff slave?
Yeah, I'm good. It snowed 3 weeks ago and the snow is still here, so that's something. But otherwise, it's been a week. How about yourself?
It's been good. Clocks went forward, so that completely screwed up the sleeping pattern this weekend. So we are recording this a little late. Other than that, I'm a little sad we're in the final stretch of this podcast series, to be honest.
Did you know that we can talk outside of this podcast?
But yeah, we still got a couple of episodes to come and a couple of fun guests to have on.
A couple of big episodes too.
Yeah.
A couple of thick-ass boys.
We are all out of celebrity intros for our podcast, so if there are celebrities listening, please send us intros for our podcast.
Just like any celebrity, not just Severance, just anyone. Just a Z list. Just please, even if you think you're a celebrity, just go for it.
We are expecting a guest again this week. We're going to be joined by Emma P. from Wellness. Actually, John, do you hear the elevator?
Well, flip my toboggan. There she is.
Oh, you guys again.
It's Emma P. from Wellness. How you doing, Emma?
Oh, not so bad.
Welcome back to the auditory department of Lumen with myself and Jonathan D. How have you dealt with your newfound fame since appearing on episode 4 of Severance with the Boys?
I'm just milking it, Andy Warhol style. I'm taking my 15 minutes. I'm running with it. I'm putting my stocks and options together. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Els.
You're welcome. We just paved the way for people. Okay, this week's episode was episode 8 of Severance Season 2, titled Sweet Vitriol. Emma, what did you think briefly of this week's episode?
I loved it, and I thought it was timely given the state of the world.
We'll expand on that right after this. John, what did you think of this week's episode?
Yeah, good. I enjoyed it much more than the subreddit seemed to.
Yeah. Oh, you've been on the subreddit, huh? Not the only neckbeard in this podcast. I see.
Yeah, mate, I've been going on there reading all your theories.
I thought it was great. I thought it was a really nice change of pace, and I know they're just trying to slow it down in these last 2 episodes before they build up to a huge finale, so that was nice to see. Introduction of new characters, a huge twist, I guess, is added. Is it really a twist?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it was very cool. Very cool reveal. Okay, before we start this week, I did get a chance to sit down and talk with Hampton from the cafe. He was a really nice guy, and this is our interview that we recorded at a local cafe. Hey Hampton, thanks for joining me here at this cafe for the interview.
You want coffee?
Sure, thanks. I like this place. It looks a little different though from what I remember.
Yeah, well, with the market readjustment from a few years ago and the fluctuating interest rates, there was a retrenchment from some of the core infrastructure investments.
Okay, wow. Do you want to split a sandwich or something?
Oh, no thanks.
Oh, okay. Well, the Turkey Club looked great.
You know how fucked it is to ask me to come here.
I thought you liked this place. You suggested it.
You want to get high?
Dude, put that shit away in public. Jesus.
Fuck you.
I gotta go, man. So that was my interview with Hampton.
Sounds like it went well.
Yeah, it was good. Thanks, Hampton, for being on the show. Okay, this is our quick recap of Severance Season 2, Episode 8, Sweet Vitriol. If you compare Episode 8 of Season 1 and Episode 8 of Season 2 of Severance, you'd be forgiven for thinking you're watching a completely different TV show. But as jarring as the vast changes are, and as much as we miss the daily office hijinks with Mark, Helly, Irving, and Dylan, everything they're doing in Season 2 just makes the show that much more impressive. This week's episode starts with a familiar-looking car travelling through the frigid, winding road on its way to what we can probably presume is Salt's Neck. My god, it's Harmony Cobell, a face we haven't seen since Episode 2 when she wriggled out of Helena's grasp at Lumen. Cobell arrives in the desolate Salt's Neck, and after a bit of oral hygiene, she decides to go visit an old friend in his coffee shack. Holy hostility, Batman. This guy is not too happy to see Cobell. What's the story here? Abandoned family member? Jilted ex? Cobell and Hampton meet at the factory, which is a long way to go for a 2-minute chat. Nevertheless, we're treated to more excellent scenic shots along the way, and a badass soundtrack to boot. With that, we're off to Missy's house. Is Hampton purposefully hitting potholes along the way as Cobell hides in his truck bed? Seems that way. Well, isn't Missy a delight? Out of the way, lady. Harmony has unknown items to find, and you ain't gonna stand in her way. After an intense exchange, Cobell finds a key to her dead mum's bedroom, and then mid-surge decides to take a little nap while leaving Hampton outside in his freezing cold truck for hours. Upon waking, Hampton and Cobell share some drugs and a smooch. How romantic. Cobell seemingly has an epiphany and heads outside to the underground cave to find the mystery item she came all the way to Salt's Neck for. What's this? Blueprints for the original Severance chip? Designed by Harmony Cobell herself? Oh, Jaime Egan, you little rat bastard. Sissy tries to grab the blueprints and throw them in the fire, but Harmony is way too fast for her. Sissy really is a weasel, isn't she? It seems she called Mr. Drummond to report on Cobell's whereabouts, and he's on his way down the road to get revenge on Cobell. Hampton raises the alarm and sacrifices his truck to Cobell. As she makes her getaway, she receives a call from none other than local sweetheart Devon Scout. Devon passes the phone to Mark, and it seems we have an upcoming collab between the Scouts and Harmony Cobell. Okay, Emma, we're treated to a really cool scenic intro with the car driving through the winding roads of the countryside there. What did you make of that intro up until Harmony's brushing her teeth?
I saw in a video somebody comparing it to the road driving to The Shining, which I hated the comparison for, because I was like, we knew that she had 238 kilometers or miles to go to get to Salt Neck. We knew it was going to be remote. That's a remote amount of kilometers. It was desolate, and they were flipping icebergs in the lake, and I hated it.
Yeah, it looked pretty bleak, didn't it? John, what did you make of that intro?
Yeah, if you're driving through, it just shows like the remote, the desolateness, and like the town they showed is just, you can see that it's just completely run down, and we find out later why. But it's just a great depiction of a town that once was alive with the vigor of industry. I think all of us here are come from similar backgrounds in towns like that, which we can kind of relate to as well, which is great.
Yeah, I thought it was very atmospheric. I spoke to John before we started this about the soundtrack this week and how they used Teddy Shapiro's music in that intro. It's like creeping with the Kia theme, which I thought was just stunning. Like a soundtrack can make or break an episode or a movie for me. So
yeah,
sorry,
it was
John,
good because they didn't use the normal main title or music at all today, because obviously it was just a self-contained episode for Cobell. So I think it was good to use the Kia theme over the top.
Yeah, I realized this morning actually that they didn't even use the titles. I had to go back and check it. So that was cool. Like a little different. They're not afraid to break from the norm and go do something a little different every episode, it seems, which is great. What is ether, by the way? What are they making in that factory? What does ether do?
I believe it's not a scientific term. I can't remember what it was, sulfur something, but it's a panacea. It's supposed to be a cure-all. It's fucking snake oil is what ether is.
All right, let's talk about the cafe scene where Cobell pops into that little shack and meets Hampton for the first time in what seems like decades. John, what did you make of that?
Yeah, again, just another horrific depiction of a dead town that nobody cares about. The guy's slinging coffee and drugs all in the same shop while just talking about normal things of someone flipping over a truck. And then you got Rose, the elderly lady, on her apparatus to keep her alive. And it just sucks. It's just everyone's beat up and drugged, and the whole town is on drugs. But then when Cobell does come in and does her Cobelling, which is great, just introduces herself as Harmony Cobell. Well, flip my toboggan. Which is a fantastic line.
Cool. Anything else to add to that scene?
Like the minute you walk in there, I realised that I've either had a hot Ribena in that cafe or a franchise of. Like it reminded me of the Crossing Cafe in Ebervale Town. I don't know whether you remember that, John, but I remember going in there with my parents, and at least 50% of the clientele were on breathing apparatus.
If it's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, but you can immediately see that this is not only a town that's run down and on drugs, but dying of drugs and dying of the industry that brought it there, just like the coal mines did to Wales. So it just constantly builds on and constantly shows you things that are very recognizable if you're sort of from a working class background, and that's what's so impactful for me, I think.
Yeah, it was a super impactful scene. I just am left with one question. It's how do you flip a 2-ton snowplow?
Well, the apple doesn't fall far from the gutter.
All right, so blasting through here, what do you make of that little scene where they meet at the factory, Em? And why did they have to go all the way to the factory to have that 2-minute chat? That was a little confusing to me.
I genuinely think it's just for them to show us the factory. I don't think that there's anybody in that town that doesn't know who Harmony Cobell is. And when he explained that Sissy's actually now a pariah of the town, I was even more confused why they'd had to leave the cafe to talk about it.
Yeah.
Once you see that place, you needed to see that. You needed to see that factory so that
Totally.
you could. It helped with the world building. So even if they just did it to be like, we just want to shoot at a cool location, fine with me.
Yeah. It was weird to do that. And am I right in thinking the factory is closed down?
100%.
Oh yeah.
So where are they making the ether? Are people just making it at home now to sell?
I assume the adults now with the kids who learned how to make it when they were 8. So
Right.
you're not gonna get purer ether than that, man. That's some grade A. It's like that's a family recipe.
John, do you have anything to add to that little scene there?
Yeah, for me, I think there was a reason for going to the factory other than scene setting. I think it's because, as you already stated, everybody in that town knows Harmony Cobell, and she is currently on the run. She doesn't want anyone to find her. She even asks Sissy and stuff, is anybody, because she doesn't even drive up to Sissy herself. She gets someone else to drive her. So I think she's still hiding. So I think to not ask out in the open in a coffee shop, which is a dumb place to go to anyway for a start, but to discuss it, I think not only was it a good idea not to do it out in the open, but to do it somewhere more secluded. In my thought, that was what it was anyway.
Yeah, I also think that maybe she brought him there so he remembers the connection they have. So he would say yes to taking her to Sissy's, maybe.
100%, yeah.
That's the only thing I can kind of think about for that. Okay, so they head over to Sissy's house in the truck, which is pretty funny with Cobell bouncing around in the truck bed. Yep. John, let's talk about Sissy's house and that initial intro to that.
So when we see Cobell go into Sissy's house, which we see is like in the remote arse end of nowhere, you can see that it's just very much so it's like the house has been frozen in time, like nothing has changed because of presumably the way she is, her loyalty to Kier and everything, how no one's allowed in the mother's bedroom until everyone forgets about her, which is a fucking weird thing to do.
Yeah.
Obviously you got like Harmony Cobell's height things on the frame still from when she was 12. Like nothing has changed. It's a real relic, but someone still lives there. It doesn't give good vibes. And then Sissy is clearly just a piece of shit.
That's like a miserable place to grow up.
Yeah.
I don't know how a house like that far out on the rock is being even powered by electricity. It's pretty crazy. I don't know. I think she's just a religious fanatic, and she's just kind of stuck in a way, and she's old, and that's the way it's going to be from now on for her. Also, horrible woman. Absolutely horrible. Emma, what do you think?
The thing that confused me the most was how she had a phone line running there. I didn't see any wires. I don't know whether she's got an under the sea thing going on, but I'm pretty impressed she can get phone calls. You nailed it. She's horrible. The house is horrible. Nothing about this is pleasant.
Another line that stuck out that Sissy said that fucking sucked was when she asked about all of her belongings and stuff, was that we sold them to the poor. Which is what? That's like just
that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't
four words, one line, just really characterize that person just straight in. It's like we sold them to the poor.
Yeah.
There's no charity like religious charity, man.
Okay, so Cobell is searching for something in the house, and then she falls asleep, takes a little nap, and then she wakes up to the shouting of Hampton and Sissy downstairs. Emma, that whole scene with Hampton and Cobell in the room there.
Can we go back a little bit on that to when she's sucking on the tube? Because I feel like I need to address this, man. I feel like we can't. We all got freaked out by it, but I don't think we should gloss over it. I think together we should face it and say, this is what happens when you do not allow yourself to grieve on an adequate timeline. This is what happens. You become a middle-aged person sucking on a medical tube. That was extremely disturbing and so sad. I've never seen Miss Cobell that vulnerable. I don't want to talk about it that much, but I just want to bring that up. We're not glossing over that. And I was really surprised that Hampton, I guess that Hampton cared for her because he drove her up to Sissy's, but it was really interesting to see the amount of history come out of them and how he softened towards her once they're in her mother's room. I really felt like he was showing that he cared about her. I love that scene. And drugs and smoochies, that's a great Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, I was super surprised that Cobell did the drugs and softened that quick. I think because she's in such a vulnerable place, being in her mother's bed, sucking on the tube. It kind of put her in that weird spot. But that was surprising. Okay, heading towards the end of the episode, there's the big reveal scene about what Cobell is doing there, what she's looking for. She finds the blueprints in the head bust in the underground cave / shack thing. John, give me your thoughts on this pivotal scene.
She's obviously gone there to look for these things so she can go back to Lumen and hopefully fuck it up. I know we'll touch on that in a bit.
We can touch on it now because what is the benefit of finding those blueprints? Who's she going to give them to? Like, what's the deal here?
I'm going to come to that. I'm going to go through my scene bit first. Leak.
Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
And then finds a sweet bust of James. And then we escape with the head, pull out the notes, and we see. Is it then we see that she goes through it and we see all the bits, or does she pull her out in front of Sissy and explain it? I think she pulls her out in front of Sissy. She pulls her out in front of Sissy, tells Sissy that she's a bell end in so many words, and shows that the Harmony Cobell is the inventor of the Severance chip. Like, that twist was fantastic. In no way in hell did I see any of this coming where Cobell was the founder and creator of the Severance chip. Do we know what she's doing with these drawings and books and everything now? Do we know what she's going to go back and do with it? Is she good? Is she going to go and fucking say, let me back into my Severance floor, I'll tell the world? Or is she going to try and burn it down? What are your thoughts, Emma P?
I get on my soapbox. Throughout history, women have done a lot in science, and then the men who were running the labs have taken full credit for it. James Watson can eat shit, the guy who apparently invented DNA. I will go on the public record saying that. Fuck that guy. Even in the books that he wrote, doesn't mention. In fact, calls him moody and troublesome. And this is no different. James has gone, cool. This young child that's female wrote this, but it's my invention. And it's timely because America at the moment is in the process of removing not just women, but people in the DEI world's work from websites. Research papers have gone missing from NASA. Not missing, just a page can't be found. They've had to set up an additional website so that they can put women and other DEI members' work and research papers that have been removed onto a public forum for people. So I'm really glad that she didn't manage to chuck it in the fire, because the rage building in me at that point was unhealthy.
Okay, so coming towards the end of the episode, you hear Hampton call out that someone is on the way down the driveway there. We assume it's probably Drummond coming to get Cobell. Emma, let's talk about that, and let's talk about the phone call that Cobell receives when she's driving away.
I hope that, just in my imagination, because I think you're right, it is Drummond, but I hope behind them, just behind Drummond, there's a completely out of breath milkshake.
Just fucking pineapple in hand.
But I'm weirdly optimistic about the phone call between them. When she says about Ragavi, and she hasn't killed him yet, that was comedy gold. I'm sure she would have killed him at some point. So I really hope that this is Cobell going back to help Mark to reintegrate, or to do something, or to help him in some way.
I'm just wondering if there's going to be a point where Cobell, the scouts, and even Milchek kind of team up to take this company down. Because it's kind of brewing that way, and I feel like Milchek's also going to turn heel at some point. He's still fully in being a complete shit right now, but I think he's going to turn. So, John, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and I hope that Milchek will turn as well. I think that's another thing they're building up. I don't know if they're building up to it, or if I don't know if they're just, especially like Milchek and Natalie and stuff. I don't know if they're just building on the actual being a person of color in work and such, and how sometimes that can be terribly represented. Like as touched upon, where when Devon called, so like listen, Mark's been reintegrating, and immediately Cobell says, "Tell me everything." So I'm stoked for the next episode. I really want to. I have so many questions, and I hope they can answer a lot in the next 2 episodes. But also, I enjoyed Hampton saying, "Come tame these tempers, asshole."
Yeah, that was very Hollywood.
Yeah, 100%. Nobody speaks to themselves that much, especially out loud. If you see a car coming, you're like, "Tame these tempers, asshole," while he's walking away from an explosion. Like,
okay, guys, if you wouldn't mind joining me over in Theory Corner.
The work is mysterious and important.
Theory Corner. Mysterious Theory Corner. Okay, welcome to the Mysterious Theory Corner. We're going to start with Emma. What is your theory for this week?
I have a lot of theories, but the one that I'm going to bring up again is the one you cut out of my last episode. Last time I came on, I tried to say it. I was knocked down. I was shut down. It was deleted from existence. I take this opportunity to get back on my soapbox and say that Rebecca is a goat of some form from the goats from Lumen, from Mammalian's Nurturable. She chews all the time. She's always trying to eat. She doesn't know how to interact. Initially, I laughed at this when I saw it on YouTube, but it has brainwormed its way into me, and I'm like, there's something about that. Rebecca is connected to the goats somehow.
All right. Thank you, Emma. I will not cut it out this time. John, let's hear your theory for this week's Theory Corner.
my theory is that your boy Outie Irv has been phoning Cobell, and that's why he has not been able to get hold of her, because she's been on the lam.
Makes sense.
And then just it's not overly a theory, it's just something I want to expand on a bit of Cobell inventing Severance, perhaps because of her mum obviously not going through a lot of pain and procedures and stuff. So I think that's why maybe Cobell came up with something to relieve mankind or cure mankind of its ailments and its pain and stuff. So I think that is something that sticks with me, that perhaps she was inventing it to, quote unquote, to save her mummy.
Can I throw in an opinion here on why she invented it?
Yes.
Because she was working in a factory since she was 8. She doesn't want to think about that.
That's it. You don't want to put kids through that.
What about you, Lucas? What is your theory for Theory Corner?
I didn't think of this theory, but I really liked it, and I haven't seen it really talked about. Cold Harbor, right? Think about the name. You know it's a room. Remember the last thing that Gemma said to Mark in his little reintegration memory? She was like, "Your outie is gonna be a," and we all can assume she was gonna say father. And then everyone was like, "Oh, Helly's going to be pregnant," but the timelines don't make sense because this season of Severance takes place over the space of like 2 weeks. So the theory that I've seen bounded around willy-nilly is that Gemma, when she was abducted or willingly went to Lumen, was pregnant. The IVF worked and she was pregnant, and she had the baby there, and the baby is inside the Cold Harbor room.
How long has Gemma being quote unquote dead? I guess I'm asking how old is the child?
We do not know, John. I am not one of the writers. That's my theory for Theory Corner. So thanks for joining me in the corner this week.
Thank you, Emma P, for taming our tempers on the auditory department again. How did you find it this week?
Probably worse than the last time, but I'll be all right. Thanks.
Care to elaborate as to why, or
No.
no? Okay, fair enough. Cool. Thank you for that one. Thank you to our listeners. Find us on all the socials. Duke will be posting all of these because he's a good egg like that. Listen to us on Spotify, rate us on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. You're the best. I love you. Stay true to yourself. You got a great pair of legs on you. Run with it. John out.
Thanks, guys.
And until next time, praise
gear. Severance with the Boys is a production of Movie Time with the Boys. Written, performed, and edited by Luke Frost and John Davis. Original soundtrack and themes by Orhan Aiden, and original artwork is by Zach Williams. Connect with us on Instagram and Blue Sky, or email us at movietimewiththeboysmail@gmail.com.